Visit us on the web at www.coolwavepictures.com/radio.
That's my story. I'm going to continue a little bit after the break here. I'm going to take a little break here on the Dave Show.
From Tempe, Arizona.
If you have an alien expert,
it's the Dave Show.
If you had an alien experience, give me a call. 877-835-1937. We'll be right back.
And now, here he is, your host, Dave Salinas.
Thanks you for tuning into the Dave Show. This is where America gets together to talk about the issues you really care about. It's a different kind of a radio talk program. We're the radio talk show that is not hosted by a right-wing wacko or convicted felon. No! I am your host. Write down our toll-free telephone number. You're going to need it. It's 877-835-1937. That's 877-835-1YES. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of the program. Here we are together again on the radio.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving. It is Thursday, Thanksgiving Thursday, November the 25th. You can join us. Just go to coolwavepictures.com. Click on the old radio button. Figure it out. Our phone number is 877-835-1937. Our email address is radio@coolwavepictures.com. I am your host, as was said just then, Dave, here on the Dave Show from Cool Wave Pictures. Let's see. It is Thunder Thursday. After my show tonight at 8 p.m. is Life and Times with Chris and Cody, followed by Gay Old Times with Mallory and Friends, and After Hours at 10 p.m. We do have a donation button on the website. Be sure and check it out. Donate whatever you can. That would be helpful. So, it is Thanksgiving today, and what's the key to a great Thanksgiving dinner? The turkey! Okay, anyway. All right, so everybody's sitting around all stuffed by now. Probably watched football or still watching football. The one of the things I was going to mention about we have this tradition in my family with the stuffing. There's a couple traditions, but one of them is the stuffing from my grandmother. Always made this stuffing, and then she kind of like passed it on, or made it with my mother and or my stepmother, and when it's all completely fresh, it kind of has a flavor of like the chicken flavored stovetop stuffing, but it's completely made from scratch. So there's like no little powder package or anything like that. It's all like breadcrumbs and and egg, and they mix a lot of chicken in it and things like that. So it's it's made fresh, and it's very tasty. They make a huge pan of it every Thanksgiving, and we all always make sure to take an extra plate home. So the another tradition is the my dad and my uncle always get the big turkey leg and the drumstick, if you will. I never liked that part. I didn't care for it. I guess it is juicier. It's dark meat, more flavorful. But I always went for the breast. And so what if it's a little dry sometimes? That's what the gravy's for. And but anyway, there was a couple times when my uncle didn't make it to Thanksgiving, and I got the other turkey drum, the drumstick. And what we did is we took a picture of me and my dad, and especially me holding it and smiling at the camera, and then we like emailed it to him, just to kind of piss him off a little bit or something. So for the lonely people on Thanksgiving, there's always Denny's. Denny's is open every single day of the year. They do have some sort of a turkey dinner. If you're all alone in your little apartment right now, don't be sad. Just go to Denny's. They probably have some sort of a discount for you. You can also, I think Hormel has a cool little microwavable dinner for the ghetto Thanksgiving if you want. It has like turkey and stuffing, and it tastes real. It tastes pretty good. I still take them to lunch once in a while. Cook up a couple of those, be about $6. Fill your ass up. For the really poor, there's always turkey spam. Yes, folks, it's turkey in a can, shaped like a spam, the mystery meat. And, you can do a lot with spam and eggs. Personally, I like spam. You can, back in the day, they said it was always a good idea. They still say, spam is it's having a comeback. They had sales on it not too long ago, big displays in a grocery store saying, advice was to throw a couple cans in the cupboard for a rainy day or whatever, whenever you're out of food. I personally can't get past about 1.5 sandwiches. Can't quite eat 2, but they're best fried in a frying pan. Melt some cheese on them. The nice thing is they're already shaped like half of a sandwich or half a slice of bread, so 2 slices fit perfectly on a sandwich. Melt cheese, throw a little spicy mustard, or whatever else you want on there, and 1.5. That's all I eat. And then I wrap the rest up, and I don't know. You can do whatever you want with it, but I don't mind the mystery meat in the can. That's fine with me. But what was hilarious even more is that when that ship that the engine caught fire, it was stuck out there for like 3 days. 4,500 people on that Carnival cruise line had no AC, no hot water, no lighting or electricity. They had to walk a far way to use a working toilet because a lot of the toilets weren't working, and they said the stench was overwhelming. But people were hoarding food, and they were served like warm milk. Everything was warm. And then when they did that spam drop, that was just, I found that humorous. Pallets full of spam dropped on the deck of the ship along with like Pop-Tarts. So, yeah, I would have enjoyed that. I like spam. That's just weird that they picked spam, I guess. I don't know. But, they offered a full refund plus free future cruise for those who are ballsy enough to do it again. But there's going to be lawsuits. There's always those people that act hurt, or even when they're really not. They just think money, and something bad happens, and out come the neck braces and the ambulances, and always happens. Like when I see a little fender bender, I just saw one just like 2 days ago. A little fender bender on Cactus in Phoenix. It was nothing. Like, it was an older lady, but she was not that old. She was probably in her 50s or something, just sitting there, a little tiny tap on the bumper. Sure enough, here come the ambulances, and, I really doubt she was hurt. I saw her moving in there, and it was a tap. It wasn't even a real bad accident. So I think people really do that just so they have some future, money coming in. But, yeah, anyway, something else. It wasn't actually Thanksgiving, but something that happened this day. I'm just going into a bunch of weird, off-the-wall, totally different subjects. I will get to Pilgrims and Beer, though. I've got a little history on that. But something else that happened today, 30 years ago, 1980, in the spring of 1980, for all you older folk, J.R. Ewing was shot on Dallas. It was at the end of season 3, and what had happened is the show was on, I guess started in 78, went through its first 2 seasons, was doing so well that they had a 2-year contract. They wanted to renew it for another 4 years. Oh, excuse me. What? Soda. Hey, you know what's funny? I work in a call center, and I was I was on a phone. I was actually live on a call, and a burp popped out. Swear to God, it was hilarious.
Get a notice from Glenda.
Yeah. This was just recent. It's about 4 months ago maybe at my current call center job. But yeah, I had taken a big drink of soda or something, and I was like, answering the call, talking, and just like, bah! One just slipped out in the middle of talking, and I was like, oh, excuse me. That was just, yeah. So, you got gas. What are you going to do, man? So, where the hell was I in the story? Let's see. They wanted to renew their contract for another 4 years, but this is what Larry Hagman was saying, and who's also Tony Nelson from I Dream of Jeannie, he was saying that they were at the peak. He was like the television man. He was like the Charlie Sheen or something back then, but they didn't have anything written. He said we didn't have a Bible to go by or whatever. And so somebody said, let's just shoot the son of a bitch and we'll figure it out later. So the very last, to keep people the cliffhanger, the end of season 3. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so they had a 3-year contract and they wanted to renew for another 4. So at the end of season 3, J.R. Ewing was shot, and not even the program, knew who shot him. And it was the big thing. It left people hanging all summer long. And there was President Carter even made a joke when he was in Texas. He was giving a speech. You could probably YouTube that or something, where he said, "Can anybody just tell me who shot J.R.? Because if I knew that, that would fund my entire campaign." Also, there was a song made. So when they came back, they had all summer to figure it out. They actually, they probably didn't reveal it for a while, but it ended up being his mistress, which I think was his cousin-in-law or something like that. But she's actually Bing Crosby's daughter in real life, so I forget her first name. But that was the biggest show. The revealing of that was 350 million people worldwide way back then, so I don't know. We'll get to some Thanksgiving stories here, because I am your teacher, and today is about pilgrims and beer. What we're going to do is we're going to take a break, and then I'm going to come back, and we're going to go through a little history about the birth of beer and the pilgrims and how it affected them. We'll be right back on The Dave Show. Stay tuned.
Listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures.
Visit us on the web at www.coolwavepictures.com/radio.
Wavelength Radio presents He's Dave. No, he's Dave. They're both Daves. It's time for the Dave Show from Wavelength Radio.
Hey, welcome back to the Dave Show here on Wavelength Radio. It is Thunder Thanksgiving Thursday. Thursday, November the 25th.
You're stuffed.
And I'm stuffed. As well are a lot of turkeys around the world. Or at least the United States. Canada had their Thanksgiving somewhere. I have it. It's in October, but we are going to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving. Because today is about pilgrims and beer, so I will be your tutor. Your tutor. All right, here we go. Let's talk about the word beer. The word beer, first of all, comes from the Latin word beber, meaning to drink. And the Spanish word cerveza originates from the Greek goddess of agriculture named Ceres. Ceres. Gas. At least 3 of the 7 founding fathers, our fathers, that we know of, were brewers. George Washington, John Adams, and Ben Franklin. Oh, Benjamin, they were brewers. They made the malt. The other 4 of our founding fathers, I'm not sure so much as if they did that too, but Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and John Hancock. The art of brewing is as old as civilization itself. Between 10,000 and 15,000 years ago, the Sumerians, rulers of southern Mesopotamia, and the ancient cities of Babylon, appear to have been the first recorded beer brewers. It is said that the Sumerians discovered the fermentation process by chance. No one knows today exactly how this occurred, but it could be that a piece of bread or grain became wet, and a short time later it began to ferment, and an inebriating pulp resulted. Now, all you folks at home, don't start putting the breadcrumbs in the sink or anything like that and trying to make your own mash, because it doesn't work unless you know what you're doing. You have to be a professional. And you can buy beer kits over at Total Wine. I saw them. They're like about $120 or something like that. I think I'm going to do it. Just do it. They come with like 12 different flavors or whatever, I guess. I'll do it. Takes like 2 weeks to make that big tank full. And I guess I'll go through each flavor, and if I can single out 1 or 2 that I like the most, then maybe I'll, put in an order for that, Comes with everything needed. So anyway, they, let's see here. These early accounts with pictograms of what is recognizably barley show bread being baked, then crumbled into water to make a mash, which is then made into a drink that is recorded as having made people feel exhilarated, wonderful, and blissful. It could be that baked bread was a convenient method of storing and transporting a resource for making beer. The Sumerians were able to repeat this process and are assumed to be the first civilized culture to brew beer. They had discovered a divine drink which certainly was a gift from the gods. That reminds me too, I saw a bumper sticker one time that said, what did it say? It just said simply, God made beer. And I thought that was kind of cool. Or maybe it was a t-shirt. I'm not sure. Anyway, the Babylonians became the rulers of Mesopotamia after the Sumerian Empire collapsed during the 2nd millennium BC. Their culture was derived from that of the Sumerians, and as a consequence of this, they also mastered the art of brewing beer. Today we know that the Babylonians knew how to brew at least 20 different types of beer. In ancient times, beer that they produced was cloudy and unfiltered. The drinking straws were used to avoid getting the brewing residue, which was very bitter to the taste. Beer from Babylon was exported and distributed as far away as Egypt. Hammurabi, an important Babylonian king, decreed the oldest known collection of laws. One of these new laws established a daily beer ration. This ration was dependent on the social standing of the individual. A normal worker received 2 liters per day, civil servants 3. Administrators and high priests were allowed 5 liters per day. And in these ancient times, beer was often not sold, but used as barter. Workers were actually also paid with jugs of beer, which reminds me of those freeway guys that stand out by the freeway? I actually did see a guy with a big sign on cardboard that said, "Why lie? I need beer." And I think I saw people giving him lots of money. Hey, get down, Juno. Get down. Come here. All right. Juno in the audience today. Come here, Juno. Hey, buddy. This dog has one blue eye and 2 brown eyes. So you figure that out. Good doggy. Anyway. So, yeah. And there was a bumper... what was it? No, the guy's sign said, "Why lie? I need beer." But there was also something I saw that said, "We'll work for beer." But, yeah, people were just laughing at him, giving him lots of money and stuff all day long. Those guys make more money than I do, probably. Standing there all day just getting cash, tax-free. Of course, my cash is tax-free, too, because I don't pay taxes. So come and get me, IRS. Yeah, I posted that right on my Facebook, didn't I? At some point, barley was introduced, then yeast was added for the fermenting process, and finally hops were added as a preservative. You can read about this entire story online somewhere, I'm sure. I got it from a different source. It was emailed to me, but, I did a little more research after that. The other thing is, did the Pilgrims land on Plymouth Rock because they ran out of beer? This somebody wrote to a person by the name of Cecil Adams, and he says, is it true that the Mayflower landed at Plymouth, Massachusetts in 1620 because the ship ran out of beer? It has been reported that barrels of beer were the most voluminous and important item in the hold because water couldn't stay drinkable on a ship for that long. So Mr. Adams, he replies, "You heard right. More or less the Mayflower colonists decided to settle at Plymouth because they were running low on beer. In an age when so many have lost their moral compass, it's comforting to know that the people in the old days had their priorities straight." Pretty much everything you think you know about the Pilgrims is wrong, including their being called Pilgrims. That term didn't catch on until centuries later, so it's not surprising that the beer angle slipped under the radar. Here is the story. And just learn, okay? It's Thanksgiving. Enjoy it. On November 9th, 1620, November 19 by modern reckoning, after 64 days at sea, the Mayflower sighted Cape Cod. You may inquire, what sort of idiot would sail across the North Atlantic at the height of storm season? The voyagers probably asked themselves the same question. They initially left Southampton, England in August, but one of their 2 ships, the Speedwell, sprang a leak. I said link, but I meant leak. Repair attempts failed, and by the time the travelers had consolidated themselves on the Mayflower, a month had passed. Then they spent an extra couple weeks under sail due to bad weather, arriving just in time for winter. That was problem 1. Problem 2 was that Cape Cod was not where the colonists were supposed to be. Their patent from the Virginia Company of London authorized them to establish a plantation between 38 and 41 degrees north latitude. The tip of Cape Cod was just north of 42 degrees. The group dutifully attempted to sail south, but shoals and contrary winds kiboshed that idea. Some now spoke of splitting up. Contrary to what we imagined, the colonists were united by religion. Of the 102 passengers, around 40 were separatists, i.e. separated from the Church of England. A like number were regular folks, recruited by the London merchants who underwrote the expedition, and the balance were hired men, servants, and so on. Finding themselves at odds in a legal no-man's land, the colonists drafted the Mayflower Compact, and the 41 who signed it on November 11th included no women, yeehaw, but were otherwise pretty cool, consisting of seps and non-seps, masters and servants, all bound by the realization that had animated every public since. If we don't stick together, we're wolf chow. The question remained exactly where the colonists should set up shop. Looking at the map now, you'd think a little bird would have twittered, "Boston! You confound Boston!" They talked funny in those days like that. Apparently not. The choice came down to some place called Anguim, probably near the present town of Ipswich, or else what the ship's navigator called Thievish Harbor, in the direction of what's now known as Plymouth Bay. The latter being closer, the colonists headed there and found the location promising, in part because the land that had been cleared earlier by native farmers who then conveniently died due to European-born pestilence. Beer. Beer was a dietary mainstay in those days. Chances are the beverage in question was ship's beer, a not very alcoholic concoction that, along with the even weaker small beer, was drunk in formidable quantities. During the colonial era, upwards of a quart per day seems to have been a typical ration. Undoubtedly, An advantage was that, unlike more perishable foodstuffs, ship's beer would keep during long voyages, and having been boiled was like purer than ordinary water. The colonists used up their beer by Christmas. At first, the ship's captain gave them a little out of the crew's supply, but when sickness, possibly scurvy, began felling the travelers, about half died that first winter. Things got ugly. As this calamity fell among the passengers, that were to be left here to plant, and were hasted ashore and made to drink water, that the seamen might have the more beer, and one in his sickness desiring but a small can of beer, it was answered that if he were their own father, he should have none. They talk funny. Captain relented when his own men began getting sick too, evidently not wanting it to be known to history that, in addition to being late, lost, etc., he was the son of a bitch who hogged the beer. We'll be right back after this break. On the Dave Show, I have a few celebrity birthdays and a couple stories, some offbeat news. So join us back.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures.
Visit us on the web at www.coolwavepictures.com/radio.
Wavelength Radio presents He's Dave. No, he's Dave. They're both Daves. It's time for the Dave Show from Wavelength Radio.
Thanks for joining me back. Join us back. Join my back. Speaking of joining my back, I do have back problems. That's a whole show by itself. I actually have really bad back problems, though, where I fell at work. It locks you up, a little knot down the lower back. I have what's called a degenerated disc, and real quickly, I fell a couple times at work. It's very embarrassing. You go to stand up, and you just hit the ground, and people rush over, and they're like, "Are you okay?" So, let me see here. On this day, let's see here. I'm going to kind of talk about, the story that's in the news a lot. I hate this. I'm getting kind of bothered about it. I'm kind of on the fence about it though still. So we are what it is about the pat down or peep show thing, that's going on with the God, what is it? The TSA and all that, the airport crap, and people complaining. I know, it's bad, it's wrong. Our rights are violated, this and that. I'm still don't know if it's a right or a privilege because it's being argued very heavily on the internet. I mean, according to one thing, it says it is a right, but I don't know. I don't know what. On this one, I don't travel, so yeah, it doesn't affect me. But if I did, I wouldn't care. I would gladly go through radiation land or get patted down, groped, whatever. I don't care. Obviously, though, some people care. There are, groups out there that are purposely trying to jack up the holiday flight yesterday. They were aiming for Wednesday, yesterday. What it is this group is telling everybody on the line to, opt for the pat down, and that will slow everything down. Some of the things that they're saying here is that it only takes, let's see here, body scans take as little as 10 seconds, but people who decline the process must submit to a full pat down, which takes much longer. That could cause a cascade of delays at dozens of major airports, including those in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Atlanta. So not all airports have the machines, which resemble large refrigerators. and not all travelers are selected for scans, but it's estimated that up to 20% of holiday flyers will be asked to use the full-body machines, meaning tens of thousands could be in a position to protest. And, as if air travel over Thanksgiving holiday isn't tough enough, it's definitely could have been made worse. I haven't heard about it yet, but, they were shooting for yesterday. The National Protest Opt-Out Day was scheduled for yesterday to coincide with the busiest travel day of the year. So, just one or two recalcitrant passengers at an airport is all it takes to cause huge delays. So, the full-body scanners show, a traveler's physical contours and, a computer. It's shown on a computer that's in a private room. It's like it's removed from the security checkpoints, but critics say that they amount to a virtual strip search. And the protest was conceived in early November by a person by the name of Brian Sodergren of Ashburn, Virginia, who had built a one-page website urging people to decline the scans. Public interest in the protest boomed this week after an Oceanside, California man named John Tyner famously resisted a scan and groin check at the San Diego airport with the words, "If you touch my junk, I'll have you arrested." A cell phone video of the incident went viral. Yeah, I've seen that on the news. It was kind of funny. I don't know what happened in that situation, though, because it says here, bottom line, passengers can't opt out of both the scan and the pat-down, and once they have been selected for the enhanced searches, according to the TSA rules, if they then try to evade the measures, they could face a fine of up to $11,000. So I'm sure we'll see some of those. Other groups have since taken up Sodergren's cause. And let's see here. The TSA has a new pat-down procedure that includes a security worker running a hand up the inside of passengers' legs and along the cheek of the buttocks, as well as making direct contact with the groin area. Woo-hoo-hoo! Pat-downs often take up to 4 minutes, it says, according to the TSA's website. Though that could be longer if someone requests it be done in a room out of a public view, or if an ill-at-ease traveler asks for a full explanation of the procedure beforehand. I guess they have to stop and, tell them about it. Factoring in those time estimates, it would take a total of only 15 minutes to put 100 people through a body scan, but at least 6 hours to pat down the same number of travelers. So, what's going to happen, or what is already happening that I haven't heard about yet? It sounds to me like it would just cause so much of a delay that planes would just be sitting there, and I don't know what's going to happen or what's happened already, but it seems like there's going to be a lot of people who don't care about it bitching at the people who do because they're holding them up. Just walk through the damn microwave or get felt up, whatever you got to do to get on that plane. It doesn't matter. What are you scared of? Are you worried? Are you worried that someone's seeing you naked under your clothes? Who cares? Are you worried about a little bit of radiation that they who cares? Just do it. Or drive. That's all. That's just ridiculous. Speaking of groping, I have a kind of a funny story that comes out of Boise, Idaho. It says, police arrested a woman in Idaho's capital city after they say that she impersonated a plastic surgeon and conducted breast exams on at least 2 women in local bars. Christina B. Ross was booked Tuesday into Ada County Jail. She faces accusations of unlicensed practice of medicine. It all started earlier this month when Boise police were called to a downtown medical office by employees of a licensed plastic surgeon. Boise police said Ross, aged 37, approached women in local bars and nightclubs with the convincing persona of a doctor named Berlin Ossian-Shona. Ross, posing as Dr. Ossian-Shona, touched the women's breast under the guise of a breast exam, the release said. Prosecutor said Wednesday, one woman disrobed for Ross and another was grabbed above her clothes. On November 2nd, employees of a licensed plastic surgeon at a Boise medical office said they had taken several calls in recent weeks from women asking for Dr. Ossian-Shona and claiming they had scheduled appointments and surgeries. but no doctor with that name worked at that office. Officers were able to obtain the names of 2 women who had called. The women told police they had seen the suspect at local nightclubs on more than one occasion, and that her vocabulary and apparent medical knowledge appeared legitimate. Ross is not, nor has ever been, a licensed medical doctor. Boise police are searching for other potential victims who may have been promised plastic surgery, breast augmentation, liposuction, laser or body-shaping treatments. Get this, folks. Ross, who has a previous criminal history in Idaho as a man, yes, a man, currently identifies herself as a woman. She, or he, is booked into the Ada County Jail as a woman and is being held in protective custody by herself at this time. Prosecutors asked for a $100,000 bond for Ross, saying the most concerning fact here is that Ross is not a doctor and that Ross is a male touching women's breasts under the guise of being a female doctor. Yes, guise, not to be confused with disguise. We're going to take a break on the Dave Show. Thanks for listening on Thanksgiving Thursday. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures.
Visit us on the web at www.coolwavepictures.com/radio.
Wavelength Radio presents He's Dave. No, he's Dave. They're both Daves. It's time for the Dave Show from Wavelength Radio.
Welcome back to the Dave Show on Wavelength Radio. It is Thunder Thanksgiving Thursday. Hope you're all enjoying everything, all the festivities today. I'm going to go through the movies that came out yesterday. They came out a day earlier because of the holiday. Before I do that, though, if pilgrims were alive today, what would they most be famous for? What do you think? Their age, stupid. All right. That wasn't very funny. But let's see here. The movies that came out yesterday, these are Wednesday's releases on the 24th. One is called Breaky Bad. And, Break, and then K-E, and then B-double-A-D. Let's see. It looks like one of those India movies, because I can't understand it. Has names of people here I can't even pronounce, so I won't pronounce them. I won't even attempt it. In fact, we're going to skip that one altogether. The next movie is called Burlesque. That has Christina Aguilera. What? Cher, Stanley Tucci, and Kristen Bell. This is about a small-town girl with a big voice who escapes hardship and an uncertain future to follow her dreams to L.A. After stumbling upon the Burlesque Lounge, a majestic but ailing theater that is home to an inspired musical revue, Allie lands a job as a cocktail waitress from Tess, Cher, she employs her, the club's proprietor and headliner. Burlesque's outrageous costumes and bold choreography enrapture the young ingenue, I don't know what the hell that word is, who vows to perform there one day. So, yeah, there you go. The next movie is called Faster. So if you've seen any of these, I don't know what to tell you. Give me a call, tell me about them. Dwayne Johnson, Billy Bob Thornton, Oliver Jackson Cohen, and Moon Bloodgood. Following a 10-year prison stint, driver Dwayne Johnson, he sprints out the gates on a mission to exact vengeance on those responsible for his brother's murder. Within hours of dispatching his first victim, Driver has 2 men on his tail. Jesus! A veteran police officer, Billy Bob Thornton, and an eager assassin played by Oliver Jackson Cohen. Driver tries to stay one step ahead of his pursuers, but there are hints that his list is incomplete and his life may be further endangered by an unknown source. Love and Other Drugs opens up. Jake Gyllenhaal, Anne Hathaway, Josh Gad, and Gabriel Macht, about a pharmaceutical salesman, begins a relationship with a woman who has Parkinson's. While on one of his sales calls, their love story plays out in the political and social context of the time. Next movie, The Legend of Pale Male. Jeez, where do they come up with these names? A young man from Belgium looking to change his life has an unexpected encounter in Central Park when he meets a hawk. Compelled to follow this extraordinary creature, he buys a video camera and sets out to track the hawk. That sounds so boring, I can't believe it. Hey, what are the feathers on a turkey's wings called? Turkey feathers. Stupid. God. How about The Nutcracker in 3D? John Turturro, Nathan Lane, Ella Fanning. Don't know. I don't know about that one. It's about 1920s Vienna. Looks too long to read. Don't even want to read it. Then finally there is the last movie that came out yesterday is On This Day in History. Just kidding. That's my segment. 1920, the first play-by-play broadcast of a football game was aired in College Station, Texas. The game was between the University of Texas and Texas A&M, and that was in 1920 on this day. Also, on this day in history, 1976, these are both football, O.J. Simpson from the Buffalo Bills ran for 273 yards against the Detroit Lions. There's a little story out of Weehawken, New Jersey. Weehawken! Yeah! Hey, can a turkey jump higher than the Empire State Building? Of course! Buildings can't jump, you nerd. A dance troupe from Florida caused a rush hour terror scare when they ditched their cars in the Lincoln Tunnel and tried to run to a TV appearance in Manhattan while wearing their camouflage costumes. The dancers drove about 1,000 miles so they could appear Wednesday on BET's Live 106 and Park show, but they hit traffic at the tunnel, which connects New Jersey and New York City, and is just 2 miles from the TV studio. The 5 young women and 3 young men decided to sprint the rest of the way. They left their adult chaperones behind and ran through the toll plaza. Armed officers with Port Authority Police and the FBI NYPD Joint Terrorism Task Force gave chase, closing the tunnel for 45 minutes. They eventually offered to escort the dancers to the show, but the producers told them that it was too late. Imagine how that would look to the crazy, to the normal person out there. All these crazy people running out in costumes through the toll booth there. Anyway. Another story from London. This is quite interesting. A plane carrying a donated liver crashed at an airport in England, but the organ was rushed to the hospital and implanted in a patient, officials said Saturday. The Cessna carrying the organ clipped an antenna as it was landing at Birmingham International Airport in thick fog on Friday afternoon, catching fire as it hit the ground. The 2 crew members were injured, but rescuers managed to put out the fire and rush the organ to Birmingham's Queen Elizabeth Hospital. The hospital said the liver, which was undamaged in the accident, was successfully implanted in a patient during a 4-hour operation. The hospital released a statement praising the rescuers for their quick thinking. The statement said that patient was now stable to decline the release any further details, blah, blah, blah. What a story. Can you imagine that? Getting the liver that just crashed in an airplane that caught on fire during crash landing, and they rushed it to you, and now the liver's in your body, and you can tell that story for generations, and nobody will believe you. We want to wish you a very, very warm Thanksgiving, and we're glad that you're joining us, actually. It's been fun. Eat lots of turkey, lots of stuffing, and don't eat that dry stuffing, from your Uncle Sue, a boy named Sue. But, when people bring that shitty stuffing that's just nasty and dry, You got to have the moist stuff. So thanks for joining us today on The Dave Show, the special Thanksgiving edition. We hope you all have a great evening and don't eat too much. Join us next Thursday. See ya.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures.